Hello guys, and welcome back to another session of learning Unity with me. I think where we last left off, we were, what were we doing? We finished the timer, and now we're dealing with a level controller. Let me see what that is. I think I remember creating a picture of what we're supposed to do. Alright, so let's see here. Controlling our victory moment. So we have, I'm just gonna repeat or at least assume what we're gonna do with these classes. So yeah, controlling our victory moment, we have spawner, attacker, level controller, level loader, classes. And what each class has is a list of actions that they need to do in order to ultimately perform our victory moment, or that would be our end goal. So level controller, I think that's what we're working on, and basically I think it has reach of all of the classes shown here, as opposed to spawner. Spawner doesn't really need to know what are, well, I mean spawner, I don't know, like, does spawner need to know the attacker? Like, I figure that there's some sort of code that just prevents it from instantiating, but I guess it does have some, it does connect to the attacker class in that sense of like having an attacker object that we're instantiating. So I guess spawner is correlated to attacker, and then attacker I don't think relates to anything. It just needs to announce when the attacker is spawned and when the attacker is killed. Like, announce is kind of a weird way to say it. Like, I'm kind of lost as what they mean by that. Do they mean like let's say we have a counter, and then we use this attacker script to, let's say every time an attacker script is loaded, then we add that to a list, right? And when it gets killed, then we decrease the total amount from that list. And this is how we track the current live attackers, because attackers would announce that they've been spawned. And then level loader happens at the end when there are no more first, the level controller needs to tell the spawner to stop spawning attackers, and then wait till there's no more attackers on screen, and then enable the win overlay, which is kind of like a dialogue, is how I see it. And then it calls the load next scene, which basically uses a level loader to load level 2, I guess, in our scenario. And I just recalled after reading through this that we were trying to, if I'm not mistaken, we were trying to edit our script so that way we could figure out how many attackers are on screen. And I did it like this, where we use define objects of type, but I don't think it's efficient because I think it's very memory intensive, so it uses a lot of, not memory intensive, CPU intensive. Is that true? I don't know, but like, if we have to keep, searching all of our objects every frame, I think that's going to be inefficient. So I'm thinking maybe we can figure out a way to like add onto it, maybe in our attacker script. Like every time, like in the start, it would. Oh yeah, I guess that could work. So yeah, because he gave us a challenge. Let me see. You guys can't see it, but it says, if you're up for a big challenge, create a system that keeps track of how many attackers are alive. Listen for when the timer reaches 0, and when there are no attackers left and the timer is 0, print and level now. So that's our challenge. So the first part is to create the system that keeps track of how many attackers are alive. And I kind of brute forced the solution by doing it like this, but now I have a better idea. So this is what I'm gonna do, and it does work. Here, I guess let me show you. Hopefully it is maximized on play. So wow. So yeah, so we go to console. So 3, 4, 9, 10, 11. So it does add, and while it does do that, it's very inefficient. So let's go to attacker. And what I plan on doing is, during the start, we're gonna increment the value in our level controller. So we're just gonna have, say, int number of attackers. It equals to 0 in the beginning. So then we're gonna have a method. We're gonna need this, but it's not useful for us, I don't think, for now. What we can do though is debug.log num attackers, and we could probably just do something like this: number of attackers, and then what we're going to do is create public methods that public void add attacker. So that would just be num attackers plus equal 1. And then we have public void remove attacker num attackers minus equal 1. So what we're gonna do now is, whenever it starts, we don't need to create a reference because this is only gonna happen in the start, so we don't need to create a reference of it, because I think you only need to create a reference if it's going to be used in multiple methods and etc., or just methods, I guess. But in our case, we just only, actually we need to add and remove, and we remove it when the health is gone, right? But for the time being, I'm not going to focus on that. I'm just going to do it here. So maybe we do need a reference. So level controller, then level controller equals, wait, why is this capitalized? That was rude. Equals find object of type, and there's always going to be only one level controller. So we're going to apply the singleton for this script or for this object. So now we have the script, we can access the level controller. We're going to add attacker, and so now let's see, hopefully we don't get any compiler issues. So it seems like I forgot to do a semicolon. Where would that be? Over here. Alright. Hopefully that's the only issue. Nice. Alright, let's go see. Dun, 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 dun. 2 attackers. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Nice. So yeah. Cool. So that's one way. But then we also need the health. If health deal damage, and then we had to go look at the script for health. Is there a way to tell when the game, or when the game object has reached its, like, the end? Because we have here a method that activates during the start, and I know there's a wake. Is there one for the end? Let's go check. Unity life cycle. So you have a wake, start, update, on destroy. So I guess the game object on destroy. Yeah, we can do that, I guess. It's kinda advanced a little bit, but we can do something like LevelController not remove attacker. So yeah, so on destroy gets called when the object's about to get destroyed, and then we just remove attacker or subtract it by 1. Let me see if that works. So seems like it. So let's go check it out. 4, 6, 7. So it's increasing, that's good, but when it gets destroyed, it decreases. 13, level timer expired. Nice. Alright, so it does seem to work, so that's a good sign. So I guess that would be my system. Alright, so the next thing is listen for when the timer reaches 0. So I guess that's going to be in the LevelController. Because if we look back here again, tells spawner to stop spawning based on the timer slider. So we need to load the slider script. Where is that? Game timer. Alright. So we need to check slider value. So we need to get a cache reference, game timer, and we're gonna say, but wait, actually let me ask myself, am I gonna be using timer anywhere else in the code, or is it just gonna be one instance? Well, if we're going to use it for our update, it's going to be called every time, because I think we got to check the timer each frame. You know, checking or getting the component, or no, finding the object does take a bit of time. I mean, it could be negligible, but you know, doing that repetition of finding the timer object every frame doesn't seem as efficient compared to just having the reference right in the beginning and then just keep calling that from the reference point without having to keep looking for it each frame. So what we can do is we're just going to do it like this. Find object of type, game timer, and then it says listen for when the timer reaches 0. When there are no attackers left and the timer is 0, print end level now. So then this is for the number of attackers on screen. And then we also need to listen to the time. I think it's best to listen to it as soon as you can. So then listening to the timer. So what we're going to do is if the timer dot value, wait, we can go through here, create a getter method. So public void, or no, public, what value is this? Seems like a float, so we're just gonna say float get timer value, and then return slider that value. Yeah, alright. So then we got a level container here. Timer get timer value is greater than or equal to 1. 1 being a whole number, and since we made it so that it's normalized based on the time we give it, it's always going to be in decimals, and it's always going to be where 1 will always be the final time that we set it to. So the timer being 1 means that the timer has reached the end. So if the timer is greater than or equal to 1, that means the timer has ended. Wait, is it end like this? No, it's Python. What am I doing? Timer end num attackers is less than or equal to 0. They want to debug .log. What was it? End level now. So listen for when the timer reaches 0, which is what we did here, or when it reaches 1, not 0, but 1. When there are no attackers left and timer is 0. But how do we check that? When the timer has ended and no more attackers have spawned, then that's when we end the level now. But how do we check that if there's an infinite number of attackers, right? So we need to, talk to our spawner to stop spawning attackers. So let's go ahead and see if we can figure that out too. So we can go to EnemySpawner. The start coroutine while is looping is true. Then I guess we gotta set this value to false. Oh yeah, we have to set this value back to false, I guess. So public void set is looping, and then bool yeah, I guess it's looping, and then this is looping, this is looping, and then I think what we can do is do this. So timer is less than 1. Timer is finished. So then we're gonna have to let the spawner know to stop spawning. Yeah, again, the same idea of creating the reference as opposed to finding the object. Again, is for efficiency. So we're gonna do is it game spawner? Enemy spawner. And then enemy spawner, just find object of type, enemy spawner, and then we're gonna let the enemy spawner set is looping to false, so that way now it doesn't loop anymore, so it just spawns whatever's left. And then we keep checking to see if the number of attackers less than or equal to 0, and by nesting this inside this, it has to make sure that the timer has been finished before, and then if the time is finished, then and the attacker is less than or equal to 0, then end level now. Alright, let's test this out. False does not equal. Sorry. That was a Python thing. I keep getting confused because I've been coding in Python a bit. Alright. Cool. Now let's see this magic happen. It's spawning, keep spawning. No more spawning. Oh wait, there's one. Oh, it keeps spawning. What? Set is looping to false. Let's debug a bit. We're just gonna make sure they get killed. Weird, why is yeah, stop spawning. Wait a minute. You know what? I keep forgetting to put my defenders. That's weird. I'm trying putting it here. There we go, so it does loop. So it never goes to after the loop then. That's weird. Let me try that again. Oh wait. I could just search it. What am I doing? Huh, that's weird. Still says true. Did I mess up somewhere? Let me change this name. Say whoop. Yeah, it still says true. That's weird. How would I do that then? So it does enumerator, spawn attacker. Alright. I'm not sure if we're supposed to do that, maybe, because it does work, but only if my attackers, like, kill everything on screen, and then the timers, or then I did see this pop up, but, like, I guess right now my only issue is trying to figure out how to stop the spawner when the timer has ended. I wonder if it has something to do with the I enumerator. So you know what? I think I'm just gonna see what he does. Oh, actually, that's pretty good. Instead of using the update, it only checks when the last attacker has been killed, or attacker. So instead of having it all here, we need to check here. So then, because yeah, the attacker, when the attacker dies, then we subtract it by 1, and then I think it evens out. There's no like what it. Sorry if I'm sounding confusing. I'm trying to word this all together. So we know that no matter what, at the end, the value of gnome attackers will be 0. So as long as there's enemies coming to life, they can die as well. Or like there's a balance. You know what? Never mind. But so what we can do here, we can, instead of calling it update and getting it called frame after frame, instead what we can do is let it get called in our remove attacker method, which only gets called when the attacker dies. So we can move that there. So the number attacker minus equal 1, then we check for these things, and then if that was the last attacker, then we can end the level. Yeah, so I like this better than putting it in the update, because I'm saying it again, but we're not calling it per frame, we're calling it per car spawn for the attacker, which is not as frequent, therefore not as CPU intensive over the long run. I know I probably keep saying that too much, but I guess it's probably negligible with today's hardware. But you know, it's not bad to think like it sometimes, just to help you think ahead in the future, I guess. Alright, so yeah, let me see if it still works. So what I'm looking for is the enemies going down. Wait, what am I looking for? I guess, yeah, so there's this value that gets called. And let me just take this out. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I guess I got confused and I was wondering why this wasn't debugging, but because I was searching. So, no, sorry, decreasing 16, 15, so it does decrease. Let me try it again with some of my defenders. Seems to work. Yeah, it does work. Okay, cool. So for them, he checked for the number of attackers first, and then the timer value. I mean, so I guess the last attacker will be the one to alert the level controller to move on to the next scene. Because let's say there's only one more attacker left, and then he gets destroyed, so we call on the remove attacker method, and then it'll decrease the value, and then it'll check, and by that time the timer should be finished. It's guaranteed that it should be finished, since when a timer finishes, the spawner should stop spawning, and there's still going to be some attackers on the field while the timer is off. And basically, the attackers that are currently on the field while the timer has ended has a job to alert the level controller that there's no more monsters. The last attacker has to alert the level controller that once it dies, then they can move on to the next scene. I guess that's the logic behind doing it that way. So basically this is what he had. Yeah, this is what he has. I think he might need to change it when we need to tell the spawner to stop spawning, I guess, unless that's a different method in which we have to, it has to get called in the update method, then that is something else actually. So like maybe in here we'll have like timer dot get timer value is 1, and then we'll have a comment saying tell spawner to stop spawning. So instead of calling this in start, he said to use it in awake, because that's like the first thing the object loads up when the script is created. So we're just gonna do that as well, because I do agree. I guess I was just lazy to to use it. Like start's alright. I could put it in start. It's not really gonna make a big deal out of it if I, or at least I don't think it does. But I guess for safety, this has to be. This is better. The way he did it. Yeah. And he also used on destroy too, so at least I was kinda on the right direction. So the way he's gonna handle letting the level controller know that the timer has finished is by using a bool value, as opposed to the way I did it, where you would get a reference of it and then check the value if it's greater than or equal to 1. While this does work, in terms of readability, it does seem kind of abstract. Like game timer value is greater than 1. Like, what does that mean really? So I'm gonna switch it to the way he did it. So he has a bool value that says is timer finished, and in beginning it shouldn't be, since it just started, so it's been initialized to false. So then we go to our, so we're not going to use this at all, and then we're actually going to create a public method here, our setter method. So we're going to call public void set is level finish, is timer finish, and it'll be bool is timer finished, and then this is timer finished equals is timer finished. So then in game timer, when the timer has been finished, then that's when we call, and it seems like we only do once, but then it's getting called per frame, and I don't really see the point of calling find object of type each frame. So we're just gonna create the reference and then find the object once, and then so that's the way it's easier for us to know where the object is, and then prevent the whole need to keep searching for the object, which it could be, like I said, negligible, but I think it does add over time. So what I need to do is do LevelController, and then go to start. LevelController equals find object of type LevelController, and then LevelController dot set is timer finished to true. So now, instead of this abstracted value here, we can just use is timer finished. We can get rid of this. So now it's easier to read, like, oh, so we're checking here if the timer is finished. Instead of saying timer.get timer value is greater than or equal to 1, I mean, what does that even mean? You know. But now we just have is timer finished. It's a lot easier to read when you're looking through the code. Saves you much of a headache when trying to figure it out later on. So yeah, I agree in that part. Alright, cool. Let's continue. Sorry, one more thing. He did another thing that I completely forgot. So instead of doing passing an argument, we can just say have create a method that says timer finished, and then just true, and then we just go to our game timer, and then we don't need to really worry about that passing any arguments, and we'll just say timer finished. So then we just know that, alright, so we want to alert the LevelController that the timer is finished, and then that value is true. And then I guess for every new LevelController that the next level has, it's going to instantiate to false anyways, and then so it might not be singleton. This can actually be just, you could create a new LevelController per scene, I guess. Yeah, alright. Alright, so he did another thing that's pretty interesting too. So we do a game timer, and to prevent, you know, these values from running continuously, because I guess yeah, we're gonna create a bool value called bool triggered timer finished equals false in the beginning, and then we just have a if statement that checks if it's true. If so, then we just want to return, and then in here we would do triggered equals true. So yeah, so I like this way better. Oh yeah, I just also realized that we have 5 different spawners that have their own script, so we need to be able to, so here it only references 1, we need to get all of them, so we're going to create a list. Oops. So let me just do that, find the objects of type, and then we'll probably create a method we're going to create a method that stops each spawner, I guess. So we're going to have like private void stop each spawner. So for spawner in enemy spawners. Oh wait, no. For enemy spawner in enemy spawners. What we're gonna do is we're going to call spawner stop spawning, and then we're going to create a method, a public method. Instead of saying set is looping, we'll do something like public void stop spawning, and then this is looping equals false. So then tell spawners to stop spawning, so we're going to stop each spawner. Right, alright, cool. Oh, it's for each, my bad. I guess var, it doesn't really matter. Timer does not exist in the current context. Where is that from? Level controller, line 15, 9. Alright, since we replaced it with this. Let's see, what else we got to do. Oh yeah, we gotta try it out. I noticed his was a while loop and mine was a dual while loop. Maybe that could have been an issue. Where I was trying to be smart, but then I ended up failing. Okay. So timers stopped, but they keep spawning. Let me see if that makes a big difference. If it does, then whoa. Alright, this is another learning lesson for me. Where is it? Enemy spawner. So we're just gonna do while is looping. We're going to do this. Actually, wait. Copy, paste. I don't think it should matter, but it didn't work, so might as well try out different solutions. So let's go start it. Oh wait, almost forgot. No, it still spawns, so there has to be something else behind it. So he called this here. Alright, level timer finished. Oh yeah, I guess we should probably put it here. That makes much more sense. since you want it as soon as the timer is finished. Why wait to check it if there's a method that does it automatically? I know it's already been 1 hour, but I'm gonna try to finish this since there's like only 1 minute and 20 seconds left. But before we move on, I want to do something real quick. because he did bring up another good idea. Is, you know, since this is only being used technically for one time, because I thought I was using it in update, but now we don't, so then we only have one instance over here. So technically what we can do is take this, put it here. Oops. So yeah, that's a little bit better. Wait, so it does work for him. What? Why is it like that? Yeah, I guess I'll just figure out next time. Alright, I'll see you guys next time then. Peace.